An American, Jim Hall, first tried this idea with the sports racing car, the Chaparral, in 1967, by installing a wing at the back of the car. Formula One soon stole the idea. Wings quickly appeared, little ones at the front, bigger ones at the back. Aerodynamics had arrived. But you never get something for nothing, and wings created their own problems. The bigger the wing and the more you angle it to create downforce, the greater the drag it causes. So you may be going faster through the corners because of the increased downforce, but you go slower down the straight because of the increased drag. It was in the late 70s that the brilliant English designer Colin Chapman and his Lotus team took aerodynamics a stage further. His Lotus 79 won 6 races before other teams began to use the same aerodynamic effect. Lotus used the air under the car to suck it down onto the track, giving a huge increase in cornering power, with only a small penalty in aerodynamic drag. This technique was described as ground effect. Designers had discovered a way to increase the weight of a Formula One car at high speed by more than the weight of this Rolls-Royce. This is what happens to the air under a ground effect car. From where it comes in at the front, it is carefully controlled to swoop down and through an inverted aerofoil shape. This alteration in speed automatically creates the effect of suction at the point where the air is going fastest. The faster the car goes, the more suction it develops. Early ground effect cars sealed the air under the car at the side. It was prevented from escaping by sliding skirts, which were actually in contact with the road. As the car rode the bumps, these skirts slid up and down to compensate and keep the air trapped under the car. Ground effect produced spectacular results, more braking adhesion and more speed. But there were also criticisms of skirted ground effect designs. If a skirt became damaged for some reason, then 70% of the ground effect was lost, and that could make the car uncontrollable. And the suspension on the car had to get stiffer and stiffer to take the pressure. This meant that drivers got a very hard ride indeed. Driving these cars became almost unendurable. Also, if a car's skirts were damaged, and if it went off the track at those new high cornering speeds, it travelled a considerable distance before it stopped. In the early 1970s, the spectators had already been moved back from the edge of the track. You can imagine the cost of doing that again, all over the world. So, to slow the cars down on corners, it was decided that from the beginning of 1983, skirts would be banned. The new cars were so-called flat-bottomed. But now, designers have learned so much about aerodynamics that at their maximum speed, the best 1985 cars, even without their side skirts, develop again almost as much downforce as the weight of the latest Rolls-Royce. Let's take a look at what a modern Formula One car consists of. The Marlboro McLaren is particularly interesting, since it is the most successful Formula One car ever raced in a single season, winning 12 of the 16 events in 1984. Formula One cars don't have a chassis or frame. The front section is a stressed shell, which is made not from metal, but from a lighter and stronger material, carbon fiber. This is the section of the car with the front suspension and wheels bolted to it. It has to be totally rigid, and it's the section which carries the driver. Behind the driver is the fuel tank, and then the engine. Formula One cars not only have no separate frame, but unlike on a road car, the engine is not bolted into the car. The engine itself forms the back half of the car's structure, and the rear suspension is actually bolted onto the engine. Again, unlike on a road car, the gearbox is mounted right at the back. This not only improves weight distribution, but also means that it's very accessible for the mechanics to work on.